going all in on. I hope you're ready for me, Bruce.
I'm absolutely. I'm
All
ready for you.
right.
Ready to go on. Here
You
we go.
know, people say Bruce VIlanch, and you think, oh, the guy from Hollywood Squares, and it's like you look back at 50 plus years of what you've done, and it's like there's so much more to Bruce VIlanch that a lot of us don't even know.
Yeah, but when you're on TV every night, that's what they for 4 years. That's what they remember.
Yeah, but you're
I
like the
mean,
man behind the curtain on so many things. People don't even know how many things you've, this is going to sound dirty, had your hands on.
that as it were. Yes, exactly. But I could be canceled for that. But fortunately, no.
Or
Fortunately,
promoted.
I kept them to myself, and
Now,
for good reason. I was behind. I was. I mean, I say I'm the EGOT of award show writers. I've written the Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. I've written them all multiple times. So yeah, I emerged for 4 years there, which is really kind of funny because people remember and they see me like at airports doing selfies, and somebody will walk by and say, "Who's that?" You know, so I have that kind of fame. You know, it ain't Brad Pitt. They're not trying to peel my clothing off at the track.
but if they did, that would make for a great script too, in a whole different way.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
What is your favorite thing to write? Because you've written music, you've written musicals, you've written jokes, you've written speeches. You've probably written, inappropriate limericks too. But I'm sure there's got to be one thing that you gravitate towards.
Honestly. No, I don't have a favorite. I always kind of thought just kind of a moving target is harder to hit. That's what Bob Hope once said to me. He said, Bob, why don't you stay at home? And he said a moving target is harder to hit. I like all these forms, and I like the idea that I go from one to another, and I'm not stuck in any one particular. I suppose if I had a hit musical on Broadway instead of a flop, I might have gone back to Broadway and tried again and done another one. Or if any of the movies I had written originally got made, but they didn't. So I had a career in rewriting pictures, and I kind of enjoy. I like the back. I also like performing and writing. So that's kind of I think what's kept me going is I get to do all these different things.
Now, how do you pronounce your mom's name?
Henny.
Okay, because whenever I see your mom's name and I hear it, it immediately makes me think of RuPaul because I'm a massive RuPaul fan, and it's one of her phrases, well, Hanny. So I immediately think of your mom for that. But I'm like, in my brain, am I pronouncing that right? And when you were on there as a guest judge, all I could think repeatedly was they need to do a Hollywood Squares episode and just to call it like Holly Weird Squares and have you on there doing that because it would be, or the Rusical, the Bruce VIlanch Rusical.
Right. That would be fine by me. I wrote for Rue before he had the drag race when he had a Vegas act. He had a talk show on VH1, and I wrote for that and for his live appearances and all that. And then I've been on Drag Race a bunch of times.
I know.
As a comedy mentor.
Now, who is funnier? And this stays here between us girls, Rue or Lady Bunny?
Oh, well, but, Bunny is filthy.
Yes.
I mean, Bunny is completely filthy. So it's like, even in the ads for her gigs, she says, do not bring children. So, he doesn't want to have to deal with that. So RuPaul is a whole different story. I mean, he's funny, but he's, kind of elegant and gorgeous and wise, loving, all those other things. But Bunny is just filthy and doesn't care.
Now, you've got the book. It seemed like a bad idea at the time. Why did you decide this is the time to write that?
I had done all these podcasts during COVID, and all these people who are much younger than I am had seen these things I wrote in the 70s, which I thought I had sent to a timely grave back then. And they all surfaced on the internet, on YouTube. And they would say, but the Star Wars holiday special, how did this happen? Who said yes to this? Why? Because they and the Paul Lynde Halloween special, they're like open mouthed watching this thing. Who said? And I keep telling them, if you say you were in this, remember the 70s, you weren't there. That's the first thing to remember.
Right.
That many of these decisions were made in clouds of smoke, and it was an era of just things over the top, silly kind of television that doesn't exist anymore because it's also so bifurcated now. It's not we only tune in for certain special events. Roasting Tom Brady suddenly gets everybody's attention. But there was more latitude then to do stupid stuff. but we never thought that we'd be talking about it 40 years later. I mean, this is insane. I mean, these were throwaway shows at the time. And they were all, when they were pitched to me, I said, well, that's a terrible idea. When do I start? Because, of course, I was getting paid and getting paid well. But the idea was maybe we can make this thing work, this terrible idea. You know, Pauline Kael, who was a critic, wrote, Hollywood is where you can be encouraged to death. And you keep thinking, oh, well, maybe somebody's buying this, you know, they'll sponsor the thing. Let's see if we can make it work. And this is a book about how these things happen. And the funny part of it is when you look at all this stuff now, it's entertaining in a bizarre, so bad it's good way. I mean, Can't Stop the Music, the Village People movie, which I wrote the first few drafts of, is hilarious. I mean, in its own right, the idea that somebody would actually think there was a movie in them.
Is your mind constantly going with ideas and songs and concepts? Is it always on the move?
I'm afraid so, yes. Otherwise, it will lapse into fear, like everybody else. Now, yeah, that's what I do. You know, I just kind of keep thinking, what if we tried this? What if we did that? But more often than not, people come to me with things now and say, what do you think of this? Try this. So I get a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've always been that way.
Now, do you find? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I wasn't saying anything of import.
Oh, well, everything you say is important because I find you brilliant, clever, and hilarious. So yes, let that go right to your head because it's the God's honest truth. So I appreciate.
The funny part is, I live in retaining Watertown.
Oh well, there we go. I like it because you know what? As somebody who is fluffy and will never need an electric blanket, I appreciate
exactly
the
right.
livability factor.
It's a town of fat people, so
that's right. Fat is flavor, so we are delicious. Darn it. That being said, what do you think is drawing people back in? Is it the app-based TV, the Netflix that they're finding you? Is it the internet where they like Google your name and say, I want to work with this guy? Or is it just because you've continued to stay in the game all this time, always moving?
Because I stay in the game, and I have to say it's probably because they think I'm Travis Kelce's mother because I look just like her.
That's right.
And about a year ago, I started getting calls during the Super Bowl saying, dude, what are you doing at the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift? And I turned it on, and there was this woman with blonde hair, red glasses, and a little chubbiness. And I thought, my God, my doppelganger. And so it's kind of like, it keeps coming up, like in lookalike things that DJs do, actually. So I think she's given me some renewed interest. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah, I can see you actually next year in a Super Bowl ad with Donna and you doing something with that. Now that you say that, your glasses, do you have an entire closet full of glasses? I'm curious.
That could be the nest egg.
All right, the book is called It Seemed Like a Bad Idea at the Time. It's been great talking to you, Bruce VIlanch.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have fun.
You too.